The distant hum of machinery filled the air as Zara Novak wiped the grease from her hands, her eyes fixed on the intricate web of circuitry before her. The cramped confines of her workshop aboard Outpost Epsilon 9 were illuminated by the soft glow of holographic displays, each one flickering with diagnostic readouts and system schematics. Zara had always felt at home here, surrounded by the tools of her trade and the comforting predictability of machines. Outpost Epsilon 9 hung in the inky void of space, a solitary beacon of human ingenuity at the edge of explored space. It was a way station for traders, a refuge for explorers, and a hub of technological innovation. For Zara, it was simply home, the place where she had honed her skills as a mechanic, earning a reputation as one of the most talented problem solvers this side of the Orion Arm. As she reached for her neural interface to log the day's repairs, a sudden tremor shook the station. Zara steadied herself against her workbench, her heart racing as the tremors intensified. The station's AI, Araya, chimed in with an urgent announcement. Attention all personnel. Unidentified vessel approaching. Impact imminent. Brace for. The rest of Araya's warning was drowned out by the deafening screech of metal as something massive collided with the outpost. Zara was thrown to the floor, her world spinning as alarms blared and emergency lights bathed the workshop in an eerie red glow. As the chaos subsided, Zara scrambled to her feet, her mind racing. She activated her neural link, connecting to the station's systems. Araya. Status report. The AI's voice crackled through the comm system, tinged with static. Outpost integrity at 87%. Unknown vessel has breached docking bay 3. Life support stable. Security teams en route. Zara's curiosity overrode her caution. Docking bay 3 was just down the corridor from her workshop. Whatever had hit them, she'd be among the first to see it. Grabbing her multi-tool and a portable scanner, she headed for the door. The corridors were a maze of flickering lights and panicked crew members. Zara moved against the tide, her focus locked on the docking bay ahead. As she approached, she could hear the hiss of escaping atmosphere and the groans of stressed metal. The massive doors to docking bay 3 were warped and partially open, creating a gap just wide enough for Zara to squeeze through. What she saw on the other side took her breath away. A ship unlike anything she had ever seen filled the cavernous space. Its hull was a shimmering, almost liquid metal that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Organic curves blended seamlessly with sharp geometric patterns, creating a form that defied conventional engineering. But what truly captured Zora's attention was the gaping wound in the ship's side, sparking with otherworldly energy. As she stood transfixed, a figure emerged from the damaged vessel. It was tall, easily twice Zora's height, with a form that seemed to shift between solid matter and pure energy. Its face, if it could be called that, was a swirling vortex of light that focused on Zara with an intensity that made her skin prickle. The being spoke, its voice resonating not through the air, but directly in Zora's mind. Human. I am Sentinel, guardian of the Aethery. My ship, my body, is failing. I require assistance. Zara's mind reeled. An alien, an actual, sentient alien life form, standing before her, and it needed her help. She swallowed hard, forcing down her fear and excitement. This was what she did. She fixed things. I'm Zora, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. I'm a mechanic. Show me what's wrong, and I'll do what I can. Sentinel's form flickered, and Zora could sense its relief. It gestured towards the wound in the ship's hull. The Void Eaters attacked us. Their weapons, they corrupt. They devour. My systems are failing. The corruption spreads. Sentinel's form flickered, and Zara could sense its relief. It gestured towards the wound in the ship's hull. The Void Eaters attacked us. Their weapons, they corrupt. They devour. My systems are failing. The corruption spreads. Zara approached the damage, her scanner whirring as it analyzed the alien technology. The readings were unlike anything she had ever seen, a mix of advanced physics and what could only be described as pure energy manipulation. "This is way beyond anything I've worked with," Zora muttered, more to herself than to Sentinel. "But the principles, there's a logic to it. I think I can." Her words were cut short as a section of the hull suddenly liquefied, flowing like quicksilver before solidifying in a new configuration. Zora jumped back, her heart pounding. "It's done," Zora said, her voice hoarse. I think I fixed it. How do you feel?" Sentinel's form solidified, the swirling energies coalescing into a more defined shape. When it spoke, its mental voice was stronger, tinged with what Zora could only interpret as awe. "You have done the impossible, Zora of Earth. You have mended what no other race has been able to repair. I am whole again." Zora managed a tired smile. "Just doing my job. Although I have to admit, this was a bit outside my usual." She was cut off as Sentinel's form suddenly flared with brilliant light. Zora shielded her eyes, and when she looked again, she gasped. Sentinel had changed. Its body now bore intricate patterns that pulsed with a soft, blue glow, patterns that mirrored the neural interface circuits on Zora's own skin. What just happened?" Zora asked, a tremor in her voice. Sentinel's mental voice was filled with wonder and determination. "I have chosen you, Zora of Earth. In repairing me, you have shown a level of understanding and adaptability that I have not encountered in eons. The threat of the Void Eaters looms, and the Aetheri need allies. You, Zora, with your human ingenuity and your unique connection to our technology, may be the key to our survival, and to the survival of all life in the galaxy." Zora stood speechless, the weight of Sentinel's words sinking in. In the span of a few hours, her world had expanded beyond her wildest dreams. She was no longer just Zora Novak, station mechanic. She was now something more, a bridge between humanity and an ancient cosmic legacy. As if sensing her thoughts, Sentinel extended a hand formed of shimmering energy. "Will you join us, Zora? Will you stand with the Aetheri against the darkness that threatens to consume all?" Zora looked at her own hand, still smudged with grease and bearing the faint scars of countless repairs. Then she looked up at Sentinel, at the vastness of space visible through the docking bay windows, and at the future that now lay open before her. With a deep breath, she reached out and took Sentinel's hand. "I'm in. Let's save the galaxy." As their hands met, human flesh to alien energy, a spark of blue light danced between them, a promise, a bond, and the beginning of an adventure that would reshape the cosmos. The days following Zora's encounter with Sentinel passed in a whirlwind of activity. Outpost Epsilon 9 buzzed with a mixture of excitement and apprehension as news of the alien arrival spread. For Zora, it was a time of intense learning and adaptation. She spent hours each day with Sentinel, her mind linked to the alien's vast consciousness through the neural interface. Information flowed between them like a torrent, star charts of distant galaxies, histories of civilizations long lost to time, and the intricate workings of Aetheri technology. It was overwhelming, exhilarating, and at times terrifying. "Your mind adapts quickly," Sentinel observed as Zora pored over a holographic display of Void Eater attack patterns. "Few species can assimilate our knowledge at this rate." Zora rubbed her temples, fighting off a headache. "It's like drinking from a fire hose," she admitted. "But I'm starting to see patterns, connections. Your tech, it's not just advanced. It's alive, isn't it?" Sentinel's form shimmered with approval. "You perceive correctly. Our technology is an extension of ourselves, a fusion of consciousness and matter. This is why your repair of my systems was so remarkable. You didn't just fix a machine. You healed a living entity." The implications made Zora's head spin. She looked down at her hands, remembering the feeling of Sentinel's energy flowing through her as she worked. "Is that why you chose me? Because I could connect with your tech?" "Partly," Sentinel replied. "But it is more than that. Your species, humans, you possess a unique adaptability, a creativity born of your short lives and constant change. The Aetheri have existed for eons, but in that time, we have become static. We need the spark of human ingenuity to face the Void Eaters. As if summoned by the mention of their name, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Araya's voice echoed through the corridors. Alert! Unknown energy signatures detected in nearby space. All personnel to battle stations. Zara's heart raced as she turned to Sentinel. Is it them? The Void Eaters? Sentinel's form pulsed with urgent energy. Yes, they have followed my trail. Zara, we must act quickly. Your outpost is not equipped to face this threat. Without hesitation, Zara activated her neural link, connecting to the station's systems. Araya, patch me through to Station Commander Chen. Emergency override Novik 7 Delta. A moment later, the gruff voice of Commander Chen filled the room. Novik, what the hell is going on? Our sensors are going haywire. And we got unknown bogies closing fast. Sir, we have incoming hostiles, Zara reported, her voice steady despite her fear. They're called Void Eaters, and our weapons won't be effective against them. We need to evacuate the station immediately. There was a pause, and Zara could almost hear the commander's internal struggle. Then, understood. Initiating evacuation protocols. But Novik, we're going to need more than that. What's our play here? Zara looked to Sentinel, who nodded gravely. Sir, I'm transmitting coordinates for a rendezvous point. Get everyone to the escape pods and head there. I have a plan. A plan? Novak, what aren't you telling me? Zara took a deep breath. Sir, trust me. I've got our best shot at surviving this. Just get everyone out. I'll explain everything later. There was another pause, longer this time. All right, Novak, but you'd better be right about this. Chen out. As the sounds of the evacuation filled the station, Zara turned to Sentinel. Okay, what's our real plan? Because I'm pretty sure I just lied to my commanding officer. Sentinel's form shifted, coalescing into something resembling a suit of armor. We fight. Your connection to our technology, combined with my power, gives us a chance. But Zara, you must understand, this will be dangerous. The Void Eaters are unlike anything you have faced before. Zara felt a chill run down her spine, but she squared her shoulders. I didn't sign up for this job because it was safe. What do? We merge, Sentinel said simply. My consciousness, your body. Together, we can pilot my ship and stand against the Void Eaters. The idea was terrifying, exhilarating, and absolutely insane. It was also, Zara realized, their only choice. She nodded. Let's do it. As Sentinel's energy enveloped her, Zara felt her consciousness expand. She was no longer just Zara Novik. She was Sentinel, guardian of the Aetheri. She was the ship, its living metal an extension of her will. And she could sense the approaching Void Eaters, their presence a cold, hungry void in the fabric of space-time. With a thought, Zora/Sentinel launched the ship from the docking bay. Behind them, the last of Epsilon 9's escape pods rocketed away, carrying the station's crew to safety. Ahead lay the enemy, 3 Void Eater vessels, their forms seeming to devour the very light around them. Okay, Zora thought, her mind racing as she assimilated Sentinel's knowledge of combat. We're outnumbered, outgunned, and facing an enemy that eats reality for breakfast. Just another day at the office, right? She felt Sentinel's amusement ripple through their shared consciousness. Your humor in the face of danger is most curious. But yes, the odds are not in our favor. We must be creative. As the Void Eaters closed in, Zora/Sentinel unleashed a barrage of energy weapons. The beams of light seemed to bend and warp as they approached the enemy ships, some dissipating harmlessly against their void-like hulls. But Zara wasn't just fighting with Aetheri weapons. Her mind raced, applying human problem-solving to alien technology. If their ships eat energy, she thought, then let's give them indigestion. With a mental command, She reconfigured the ship's energy matrix. The next volley they fired wasn't a beam of pure energy, but a complex, fractal pattern of light and dark. As it struck the Lid Void Eater ship, the pattern seemed to multiply, spreading across its hull like a virus. The enemy vessel shuddered, its form distorting as it struggled to absorb the conflicting energies. Zara pressed the advantage, pouring more power into the attack. She could feel the strain on their own systems, the living metal of the ship groaning under the stress. But it was working. The Void Eater ship's hull began to crack, lines of normal space-time reasserting themselves against the void. With a final push, Zara/Sentinel channeled every ounce of power they had into a single, concentrated blast. The enemy ship shattered, fragments of its impossible geometry scattering into normal space. But there was no time to celebrate. The other two Void Eaters were already adapting, their forms shifting to counter the new threat. Zara felt a surge of determination from Sentinel. "You have done the impossible once again, Zora of Earth, but our fight is far from over." As the remaining Void Eaters closed in, their forms twisting into new and horrifying configurations, Zara steeled herself for the battle ahead. She was no longer just a mechanic, no longer just human. She was a guardian, a protector of life against the encroaching void. And she would not go down without a fight. The vastness of space became a battlefield, silent explosions of impossible geometries lighting up the darkness. Zara/Sentinel danced through the chaos, their merged consciousness pushing the limits of what was possible. Human intuition melded with ancient knowledge, creating strategies that neither alone could have conceived. But the Void Eaters were relentless. For every blow Zara/Sentinel landed, the enemy seemed to grow stronger, adapting to their tactics with terrifying speed. Their ship, for all its advanced technology, was taking damage. Zara could feel the pain of it, the living metal crying out as reality itself was torn and warped around them. As they narrowly dodged another attack, a tendril of void energy grazing their hull, Zara had an epiphany. "Sentinel," she thought, "we've been fighting them on their terms, but what if we change the rules?" She felt Sentinel's curiosity and concern. "What do you propose?" Zara's mind raced, drawing on everything she had learned about Aetheri technology and the nature of the Void Eaters. They feed on energy, on the very fabric of space-time. But what if we give them nothing? Understanding dawned in their shared consciousness. It was risky, perhaps suicidal, but it was also their best chance. With a thought, Zara/Sentinel activated the ship's most esoteric systems, technology that could manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe. As the Void Eaters closed in for the kill, Zara/Sentinel created a bubble of pure absence, not darkness, not emptiness, but a complete lack of everything. No energy, no matter, no space, no time. A null point in reality itself. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The Void Eaters, creatures of consumption, suddenly found themselves with nothing to devour. Their forms twisted and contorted, trying to adapt to a concept that was anathema to their very existence. Zara/Sentinel pushed harder, expanding the null point. The strain was immense, threatening to tear apart their own ship, their own merged consciousness. But they held on, pouring every ounce of will and determination into this final desperate gambit. With a silent scream that echoed across dimensions, the Void Eaters imploded. Their impossible forms collapsed in on themselves, unable to exist in a realm devoid of anything to consume. In an instant, the threat was gone, leaving behind only the vast, star-studded expanse of normal space. As the null point dissipated, Zara felt herself sliding back into her own body, the connection with Sentinel fading. She gasped, her knees buckling as the weight of what they had done hit her. Strong, energy-formed arms caught her before she could fall. "Easy," Sentinel's voice echoed in her mind, gentler now. "What you have done, it is beyond extraordinary." Zara looked up at the alien being, a weary smile on her face. "We did it together, human and Ethery. Turns out we make a pretty good team. Sentinel's form shimmered with what Zara now recognized as pride and affection. Indeed we do. And I suspect this is only the beginning of what we can accomplish together. As they turned their damaged but triumphant ship towards the rendezvous point, Zara felt a sense of anticipation building within her. The universe had just become a much bigger, more dangerous, and infinitely more exciting place. And she, Zara Novak, former station mechanic, now stood at the forefront of humanity's entry onto this cosmic stage. Whatever came next, she knew one thing for certain. It was going to be one hell of an adventure. The journey to the rendezvous point was tense, filled with a mixture of exhaustion and anticipation. Zara sat in what passed for a cockpit aboard Sentinel's living ship, her mind still reeling from the battle they had just survived. The vastness of space stretched out before them, no longer a comforting blanket of stars, but a canvas of potential threats and wonders. "How are you feeling?" Sentinel's voice echoed in her mind, a comforting presence after the intensity of their merger. Zara ran a hand through her disheveled hair, wincing as she felt the tender spots where the neural interface had strained during the fight. "Like I've been pulled apart and put back together," she admitted, "but also alive. More alive than I've ever felt." Sentinel's form shimmered with understanding. "The first melding is always the most intense. Your mind has touched the infinite, Zora. It will take time to fully process." As they approached the coordinates Zora had transmitted, a cluster of ships came into view. The escape pods from Epsilon 9 had gathered around a small fleet of human vessels, likely the nearest patrol that could respond to their distress call. "Incoming transmission," Sentinel announced, a hint of amusement in its tone. "I believe your Commander Chen wishes to speak with you." Zara took a deep breath, steeling herself. "Patch him through." The gruff voice of Commander Chen filled the cockpit, tinged with a mixture of relief and exasperation. "Novak, what in the seven hells happened back there? Our sensors picked up energy readings off the charts, and then nothing. Are you all right?" "I'm fine, sir," Zora replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "It's a long story. One I think we need to discuss in person, with Earth Central Command." There was a pause, and Zara could almost hear the wheels turning in Chen's mind. "Agreed. We're setting course for Earth. Whatever this is, Novak, I hope you know what you're doing." As the communication cut off, Zara leaned back in her seat, a wry smile on her face. "Well, that went better than expected. Now we just have to convince the leaders of Earth that we're on the brink of an intergalactic war. Should be fun." Sentinel's form coalesced beside her, taking on a more humanoid shape. "Your leaders will need to understand quickly. The Void Eaters we faced were merely scouts. Their main force will not be far behind." The journey to Earth was a blur of preparations and explanations. Zara spent hours in conference calls with increasingly high-ranking officials, each more skeptical than the last. But as Sentinel's ship entered Earth's orbit, even the most doubtful had to acknowledge the reality of the situation. The landing in Geneva, home of the United Earth government, was a spectacle unlike any other. Crowds gathered behind hastily erected barriers, their faces a mix of awe and fear as Sentinel's ship touched down on the manicured lawn of the UEG headquarters. As Zara stepped out, Sentinel flowing around her like a living suit of armor, she was struck by the gravity of the moment. This was first contact, humanity's official introduction to the wider galaxy. And she, Zara Novak, former outpost mechanic, was at the center of it all. The next few days were a whirlwind of debriefings, negotiations, and tense strategy sessions. Zara and Sentinel stood before the United Earth Council, recounting their battle with the Void Eaters and explaining the threat that loomed on the horizon. "You have to understand," Zora pleaded, her voice echoing in the Grand Chamber. "This isn't just about Earth. The Void Eaters threaten all life in the galaxy. We need to prepare, to unite with the Ethery, and any other allies we can find." Admiral Helena Reyes, the stern-faced head of Earth's defense forces, leaned forward. "Ms. Novak, While we appreciate the warning, you're asking us to commit to a war based on the word of a single alien entity. How can we be sure this isn't some elaborate deception? Zara felt a surge of frustration, but before she could respond, Sentinel stepped forward. Its form shimmered, and suddenly the council chamber was filled with holographic displays, star charts, battle footage, and historical records spanning millennia. Respected leaders of Earth, Sentinel's voice resonated, not just in their minds, but throughout the room. I understand your caution, but time is a luxury we do not have. Even now, the Void Eaters gather their forces. They have tasted the potential of your world, and they will come to devour it. The displays shifted, showing simulations of potential Void Eater attacks. Earth's defenses, impressive as they were, crumbled like paper before the onslaught of impossible geometries and reality-warping weapons. A hush fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. It was President Adama who finally broke the silence, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. What do you propose we do? Zara stepped forward, her mind racing with plans born from her merger with Sentinel. We prepare. We adapt. We take Aetheri technology and combine it with human ingenuity. But more than that, we reach out. There are other races out there, other potential allies. Together, we might stand a chance. The debates raged for days, but in the end, the decision was clear. Earth would stand with the Aetheri, and humanity would take its place on the galactic stage. The months that followed were a frenzy of activity. Zara found herself at the heart of a global transformation, overseeing the integration of Aetheri technology into Earth's defenses. Shipyards that once produced standard space cruisers now birthed hybrid vessels, living metal infused with human design. But it wasn't just about military preparation. The knowledge Sentinel brought changed everything, from energy production to medicine, from computing to agriculture. Earth was evolving at an unprecedented rate, driven by the urgent need to be ready for the coming storm. Through it all, Zara and Sentinel worked tirelessly, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. They traveled the globe, then beyond, to the budding colonies on Mars and Europa. Everywhere they went, they brought a message of unity and preparation. It was during one such trip, as they stood watching the sunrise over the Martian desert, that Sentinel broke some troubling news. Zara, its voice was somber in her mind. I've detected something, a disturbance in the fabric of space-time, at the edge of your solar system. Zara felt her heart race, a mixture of fear and anticipation coursing through her. Is it them? The Void Eaters? Sentinel's form rippled with concern. I'm not certain. It's unlike anything I've encountered before, but whatever it is, it's massive. And it's heading this way. As if on cue, Zara's neural link chimed with an urgent message from Earth Command. Admiral Rice's face appeared in her mind's eye, her expression grim. Novak, we need you back on Earth immediately. Our deep space sensors have picked up an anomaly, and it's not responding to any of our hails. Whatever it is, it'll reach Earth orbit in less than 72 hours. Zara exchanged a look with Sentinel, a silent understanding passing between them. We're on our way. Admiral, alert the fleet. It's time to see if our preparations have been enough. As they boarded their ship, setting course for Earth at maximum speed, Zara felt a strange calm settle over her. The moment they had been preparing for had finally arrived. Whether it was the Void Eaters or some new, unknown threat, humanity was about to face its greatest challenge. The ship broke atmosphere, accelerating towards the blue marble of Earth. As they approached, Zara could see the newly constructed orbital defense platforms, their hybrid designs a testament to the collaboration between human and Aetheri. The combined Earth-Aetheri fleet was assembling, ships of all sizes moving into defensive formations. At the heart of the fleet was the flagship, the Horizon's Dawn, a massive vessel that represented the pinnacle of their joint technology. As they docked with the Horizon's Dawn, Zara took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Whatever emerged from that spatial anomaly, She knew that the fate of not just Earth, but possibly the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. Sentinel's presence was a comforting warmth in her mind. Together, Zara. Whatever comes, we face it together. Zara nodded, a determined smile on her face. Together. Let's show the universe what humanity and the Aethery can do. As they stepped onto the bridge of the Horizon's dawn, all eyes turned to them. Admiral Rise approached, her face a mask of professional calm. Novak, Sentinel, we're glad you're here. The anomaly will be in visual range in 10 minutes. Whatever's coming, we need you two at the forefront. Zara took her place at the central command console, Sentinel's energy merging with the ship's systems. As the countdown ticked away, she felt a surge of pride looking at the crew around her, humans and Aethery working side by side, united against a common threat. 5 minutes to visual contact, the ship's AI announced. Zara closed her eyes for a moment, centering herself. When she opened them, her gaze was fixed on the main view screen, watching as the stars seemed to distort and warp. Here we go, she murmured, more to herself than anyone else. Whatever you are, whatever you want, we're ready for you. The anomaly burst into existence before them, a swirling vortex of impossible colors and shapes, and from its depths emerged something that would change the course of the war and the fate of the galaxy forever. The bridge of the Horizon's dawn fell silent as the anomaly stabilized, revealing what lay beyond. It wasn't the Void Eaters, as they had feared. Instead, a massive fleet of ships unlike anything they had ever seen filled the view screen. Their designs were organic yet mechanical, a harmony of flowing lines and sharp angles that spoke of an advanced civilization. By the stars, Admiral Rise breathed, her usual composure slipping for a moment. What are we looking at, Sentinel? Zara felt Sentinel's surprise and recognition through their link. They are the Concordiat. Sentinel's voice echoed in everyone's minds. An ancient race, long thought lost. They were old when the Aethery were young. Before anyone could respond, a transmission cut through their communications channels. A face appeared on the main screen, humanoid, but with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to contain swirling galaxies. Greetings, children of Earth and Aethery. The being spoke, its voice a melody of harmonics. I am Xylos, emissary of the Concordiat. We have come in your hour of need. Zara stepped forward, drawn by an instinct she couldn't explain. I'm Zara Novak of Earth, and this is Sentinel of the Aethery. We're honored by your arrival, emissary Xylos, but how did you know we needed help? Xylos smiled, an expression both familiar and alien. The ripples of your battle against the Void Eaters reached far across the cosmos, young one. We have been watching, waiting for the right moment to reveal ourselves. The threat you face is greater than you know, and it will take all of us to stand against it. Admiral Rise, ever the pragmatist, spoke up. We appreciate the offer of help, emissary, but we've been preparing for this fight. How do we know we can trust you? A fair question, Admiral. Xylos nodded. Perhaps a demonstration is in order. With your permission, we'd like to share some of our technology. Specifically, advancements that will help in the fight against the Void Eaters. What followed was a whirlwind of activity. The Concordiat shared designs for weapons that could disrupt the Void Eaters' reality warping abilities, shields that could withstand their corrosive touch, and engines that could outmaneuver their twisted forms. Zara found herself at the center of it all, her unique blend of human intuition and Aethery knowledge making her the perfect bridge between the three races. She worked tirelessly, integrating Concordiat tech with their existing systems, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. But as the days passed, tensions began to rise. The human military leaders grew increasingly uncomfortable with the level of alien influence. The Aethery, set in their ancient ways, struggled to adapt to the rapid changes. And the Concordiat, for all their advanced technology, seemed to have their own agenda, one they weren't fully sharing. It came to a head during a strategy meeting aboard the Horizon's dawn. Admiral Rice slammed her fist on the table, her patience finally snapping. Enough. We're supposed to be preparing for war, not bickering like children. Xylos, your people have been holding back. What aren't you telling us? Xylos's eyes swirled with conflicting emotions. Admiral, there are some truths that are difficult to accept. The Void Eaters are not just an enemy. They are a cosmic inevitability, a force of entropy given form. We faced them before, eons ago, and the cost of victory was unimaginable. A heavy silence fell over the room. Zara felt a chill run down her spine, but she pushed through it. What do you mean, unimaginable? What happened? Xylos's form seemed to flicker, as if the memory itself was painful. We had to sacrifice entire galaxies, collapse them into singularities to create weapons capable of pushing back the void. Trillions of lives, countless civilizations, all lost in an instant. The implications hit Zora like a physical blow. She looked around the room, seeing the horror reflected on every face, human, Etheri, and Concordiat alike. Sentinel's voice, usually a comfort, was tight with tension. You propose we do the same. Sacrifice our home, our people, on the mere chance of victory. Xylos shook his head. No, not exactly. We've learned much since then. With the combined knowledge and technologies of our races, we believe there's another way. But it will require a level of cooperation and trust that, frankly, I'm not sure you're capable of. Admiral Rice bristled at the implication. Now wait just a minute. But Zara cut her off, an idea forming in her mind. What if we could show you? Not just tell you, but show you that we can work together. She turned to Sentinel, their thoughts aligning through their bond. The melding. What if we could do it on a larger scale? Not just human and Etheri, but all three races. The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, objections, questions, and exclamations of disbelief. But Xylos raised a hand, silencing them all. His eyes fixed on Zara with an intensity that made her skin prickle. You propose a true concordance, a melding of minds and technologies on a scale never before attempted. It's audacious, dangerous, and possibly our only hope. What followed was a frenzy of preparation. The best minds from all three races worked around the clock, adapting the neural interfaces Zara used with Sentinel for a much larger scale. The Horizon's dawn was transformed, its very structure altered to accommodate the massive undertaking. As the day of the concordance approached, Zara found herself standing before a gathered crowd of humans, Etheri and Concordiat, all volunteers, all willing to risk everything for a chance at unity. I won't lie to you, Zara began, her voice carrying across the hushed assembly. What we're about to attempt is unprecedented. It's dangerous. Some of you may not come back. But if we succeed, we'll have created something new. A true alliance, a force capable of standing against the Void Eaters. She looked out at the sea of faces, seeing determination, fear, and hope in equal measure. I'll be there with you, every step of the way. Together, we're going to make history. As the volunteers took their positions, linking into the vast network of interfaces, Zara felt a moment of doubt. Was she leading them to salvation or destruction? But as she caught Sentinel's eye, saw the trust and support there, she steeled herself. This was their best hope, perhaps their only hope. Zara took her place at the center of the array, Sentinel's energy flowing around her. On one side stood Admiral Rice, representing humanity's strength and determination. On the other was Xylos, the wisdom of the Concordiat incarnate. Ready? Zara asked, receiving nods from both. She took a deep breath. Then let's begin. The concordance started slowly, a trickle of thoughts and emotions, but it quickly grew, becoming a torrent of shared consciousness. Zara felt her mind expanding, touching hundreds, then thousands of others. Human ingenuity, Etheri ancient knowledge, and Concordiat cosmic wisdom, all flowing together, merging into something greater than the sum of its parts. It was overwhelming, exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Zara felt herself slipping, her individual identity threatening to dissolve in the vast ocean of shared consciousness. But then she felt Sentinel's presence, an anchor in the storm, reminding her of who she was. Through the concordance, Zara saw the universe as she never had before. The true scope of the Void Eater threat became clear, a cancer in reality itself, spreading across the cosmos. But she also saw hope. The combined potential of their races, technologies beyond imagining, and strategies that no single mind could have conceived. As the concordance reached its peak, a plan began to form. Not a plan of sacrifice and destruction, but one of creation and renewal. They would forge a weapon not of collapsing stars and ruined galaxies, but of life itself, a counter to the Void Eater's entropy. The strain was immense. Zara could feel the others beginning to falter, their minds buckling under the pressure of unity. With a Herculean effort, she began the process of separation, guiding each consciousness back to its own form. As the last connections faded, Zara collapsed to her knees, gasping for breath. Around her, others were in similar states, exhausted, disoriented, but alive. And change. Admiral Rise was the first to speak, her voice hoarse but filled with awe. Did it work? Xylos, his form shimmering with barely contained energy, nodded. Beyond our wildest expectations. We have our plan. Now, we prepare for war. As the others began to recover, excitedly sharing their experiences, Zara felt Sentinel's presence in her mind. There was a new depth to their connection, a shared understanding born from the concordance. You did it, Zara. Sentinel's voice was filled with pride. You've given us a fighting chance. Zara smiled, exhausted but exhilarated. We did it, Sentinel. All of us together. And we're just getting started. As she looked out at the assembled races, human, Etheri, and Concordiate, Zara felt a surge of hope. The Void Eaters were coming, yes, but they would face a united front, a harmony of life and technology, unlike anything the universe had ever seen. The real battle was about to begin, and they would face it together. The days following the concordance were a blur of feverish activity. The combined knowledge and insights gained from the melding of minds had given birth to a plan so audacious, so revolutionary, that it seemed equal parts brilliance and madness. But with the Void Eater's main force rapidly approaching, there was no time for doubt. Zara found herself at the heart of it all, her unique position as a bridge between the races making her invaluable. She worked tirelessly, coordinating efforts between human engineers, Etheri energy manipulators, and Concordiate reality shapers. The plan they had conceived during the concordance was taking physical form, and it was nothing short of awe-inspiring. They called it the Nexus, a massive ring-shaped structure that dwarfed even the largest ships in their combined fleets. But the Nexus was more than just a weapon or a shield. It was a focal point for the combined life energy of their alliance, a beacon of creation to counter the Void Eater's entropy. As the final pieces of the Nexus were brought into position, the sensors of the Horizon's Dawn lit up with urgent warnings. Admiral Raya's voice cut through the controlled chaos of the bridge. They're here. Void Eater fleet detected at the edge of the solar system. All ships, battle stations. This is not a drill. Zara exchanged a look with Sentinel, feeling the weight of the moment. This was it. Everything they had worked for, everything they had sacrificed, would be put to the test. Zara. Sentinel's voice was solemn in her mind. Whatever happens, know that it has been an honor to stand with you, with humanity. Zara nodded, a lump in her throat. The honor's been mine, Sentinel. Let's finish this. The view screen of the Horizon's Dawn filled with a sight that chilled Zara to her core. The Void Eater fleet was vast beyond imagining, a writhing mass of impossible geometries and light-devouring darkness that seemed to warp the very fabric of space around it. Xylos, standing at a console nearby, spoke in a voice tinged with awe and fear. By the cosmic harmony, There are more of them than we anticipated. The Nexus. It may not be enough. But Zara felt a surge of determination. It has to be enough. We've come too far to falter now. As the Void Eater fleet approached, the combined forces of Earth, the HFY, and the Concordiat moved into formation around the Nexus. Ships of all sizes and designs, a testament to the diversity and ingenuity of their alliance, prepared for battle. The initial clash was catastrophic. Void Eater weapons tore through space, corrupting everything they touched. But the defenders were ready. Shields flickered with Concordiat energy, deflecting attacks that would have annihilated them before. HFY living ships flowed around the corruption, healing themselves even as they pressed the attack. And human vessels, enhanced with hybrid technology, darted through the chaos with impossible agility, striking at the Void Eater's weak points. Zara and Sentinel, merged once again, were at the forefront of the battle. Their shared consciousness guided squadrons of fighters, coordinated fleet movements, and helped direct the Nexus's growing power. Through their eyes, the battle was a symphony of light and darkness, creation and destruction on a cosmic scale. But despite their preparations, despite the power of their alliance, the Void Eaters were pushing them back. The sheer scale of the enemy force was overwhelming, and for every Void Eater ship they destroyed, 2 more seemed to take its place. As the battle raged on, Zara felt a moment of despair. Had they come so far, sacrificed so much, only to fail at the final hour? But then, through their link, she felt something from Sentinel, a memory, or perhaps a vision, of the countless civilizations that had fallen to the Void Eaters, of the trillions of lives snuffed out, the potential lost. And with that memory came a realization. The Nexus wasn't just a weapon, it was a conduit for life, for hope, for the very essence of creation that the Void Eaters sought to destroy. Everyone, listen. Zara's voice rang out across the communications channels. The Nexus, it's not just our creation. It's connected to everything the Void Eaters have destroyed. We need to channel that energy, that memory. Not just our power, but the power of every race, every world that's fallen to them. Understanding rippled through the fleet. The HFY, with their deep connection to the cosmic energies, began to reach out, drawing upon the echoes of lost civilizations. The Concordiat, their vast minds spanning millennia, recalled the spirits of long-dead worlds. And humanity, with their boundless empathy and imagination, gave voice to those lost souls. The Nexus began to pulse with a light that defied description. It was the light of countless stars, of billions of years of evolution and growth, of every act of creation in the face of destruction. And as that light grew, the Void Eaters recoiled. Zara/Sentinel guided the Horizon's dawn to the heart of the Nexus, their merged consciousness becoming a focal point for the gathered energy. They could feel the weight of history, of entire galaxies lost and found, coursing through them. Now, Zara/Sentinel's voice echoed across dimensions. For every life lost, for every world destroyed, for the future of all life in the cosmos, fight back. The Nexus unleashed its power in a wave of pure creation. It washed over the Void Eater fleet like a tsunami of light, each point of contact the Big Bang in miniature. Where the wave touched, the corruption of the Void Eaters was not just destroyed, but transformed. Their twisted forms unraveled, the energy and matter that composed them returning to the universal cycle of creation and renewal. The battle seemed to last an eternity and no time at all. When it was over, when the light faded and the sensors could function again, the Void Eater fleet was gone. In its place was a nebula of newborn stars, shimmering with the promise of future worlds and civilizations. On the bridge of the Horizon's dawn, Zara slowly separated from Sentinel, her body shaking with exhaustion and awe. Around her, the crew, human, HFY, and Concordiat alike, stared at the view screen in stunned silence. Admiral Rise was the first to speak, her voice barely above a whisper. We did it. They're gone. Xylos, his form shimmering with barely contained emotion, nodded. Not just gone. Renewed. Reborn. We didn't just win a battle. We broke the cycle. As the realization of their victory spread through the fleet, cheers and cries of joy erupted across every channel. Zara felt tears streaming down her face as she turned to Sentinel. "It's over," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "We really did it." Sentinel's form pulsed with warmth and pride. "No, Zara, it's not over. It's just beginning." And Sentinel was right. The defeat of the Void Eaters was not an end, but a new beginning. The alliance forged in the crucible of war now turned its efforts to healing, to exploration, to spreading life and knowledge across the cosmos. The Nexus, no longer needed as a weapon, became a symbol of their unity, a great port and center of learning where all races could come together. And at its heart stood a statue, a human woman, and an ethereal guardian, hand in hand, looking out at the stars with hope and wonder. Zara Novak, once a simple mechanic from a remote outpost, now stood as a symbol of humanity's potential. She had faced the darkness at the edge of creation and emerged victorious, not through force alone, but through cooperation, empathy, and the indomitable human spirit. As she stood on the observation deck of the Nexus, watching ships from 100 worlds come and go, Zara felt Sentinel's presence beside her. "What do you think?" Sentinel asked, its mental voice filled with curiosity. "Was it worth it? All the struggle, the pain, the sacrifices." Zara looked out at the bustling activity, at the mingling of species and cultures that would have been unimaginable just a short time ago. She thought of the friends she had made, the wonders she had seen, and the infinite possibilities that now lay before them. With a smile, she turned to Sentinel. "Every moment, and the best is yet to come." As they stood together, human and ethereal, their gaze turned to the stars, not with fear, but with anticipation. The universe was vast and full of mysteries, but they would face them together. For in the darkest night, humanity had found its light, and that light would shine for eternity.